I think we see this very often when we when we are in sync with that rhythm. We call it synchronicities, we call it flow, we call it all kinds of things. But we anyway meet the right people at the right time, and we can suddenly feel this supportive whole, that everything is supportive of that movement, and that's such an effortless state. And then we can also feel when we're out of sync. And you said something beautiful. You said, if when I'm out of sync, then I need to, there are ways how to come back into synchronization with that wave. And I think that's what spiritual practice is about. It's exactly to get us back in sync. And
And
we
all
are
the animals are there. All the animals are there.
everything. Exactly.
All life is there. Eden
All
is
life.
right there.
Exactly.
And we just need to awaken. And to awaken, it's not just for the most pious or the best meditators. We can all take 1 minute and awaken.
Mm.
Use our
Yeah,
awakened brain. We have an
that,
awakened brain. We all have it. Nobody's left out. There's no one who can't do this. We all have an awakened brain.
so maybe you speak a little bit about this, because I completely agree. That's the most democratic, that's the most fair, that's accessible for everybody. So let's speak a little bit about your book. You also wrote a book about this, like the awakened brain. And let's speak a little bit about this. When you say the awakened brain, we all have it. Maybe you can share for our listeners a few more sentences about that.
Yes. So when we look at people of all faith traditions, whether I am Hindu or Catholic or Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Jain or Buddhist, whatever my tradition may be, spiritual, but not religious, there's the same neurocorrelates that are running when we feel a deep awakening, a sense that we are loved and held and guided and never alone. And I'll give you an example. Oftentimes we can be in a struggling, snaggly, ergly, distressed state of mind, off the rhythm, not aligned. And the narrative goes like this. I'm wondering, why did I not get the job? Why the person who got the job was less qualified than me? I know that she was less qualified than me. I said everything right. A plus B plus C. I did everything right. Why did I not get that job? I'm such a loser. It's because I'm such a loser. It's because I speak in a way that people don't like. It's because I'm not as smart. And then suddenly, I saw light in the trees, and I know that the universe has a path for me, or God will open the right door for me, and I am where I'm supposed to be. Okay. That is a major shift from the view that we control everything, what I call narrow achieving awareness. I mean, of course, we need to plan and make an effort and strategize, but that's a tiny little sliver, less than 10%. And really, where most of life is born is in the dialogue with the deep universe, the force that's in us and through us and among us. The work that you do, Thomas, so beautifully with many people, to open to the deep force that's in us, through us, and among us, to listen, to say, yes, that synchronicity is real. Reflect on what it means and act on it. This is a living, in fact, may we do a practice?
Right now,
Lovely.
yeah.
Yes,
Always.
good. Okay. This is called the road of life. The road of life. Okay. I invite you to take 3 breaths to clear out your inner space. I invite you to locate a time where you wanted something very, very much. You wanted that job. You wanted him or her or them to say yes to be with you. You wanted the home, the apartment, the money, the opportunity, and you did everything right. A plus B plus C, the equation was intact, absolutely correct. Tactically, that red door was yours. And so A plus B plus C, you have done it all. You reach for the handle of your red door, but it's stuck. And you cannot believe it's stuck because you have done everything tactically, strategically right. You might be shocked. You might kick the door. How could that impasse be? You might even be depressed. But only because that door is jammed. It is stuck. You must shift. You shift 35, 60, 100 degrees. And over here is a wide open yellow door. You might not have heard of yellow doors, ever known of their existence. The yellow door opens and you meet someone who makes you feel alive. You find a mentor who sees in you what you did not even know was in yourself. The yellow door leads to a landscape that has so much to do with who you are and where you are today. The yellow door was not what you had wanted. It was better, and foremost better for you. And as you sit back now and you think of that stuck red door and the hairpin turn that led to the wide open, shining yellow door with a possibility that you had not even known existed, was there anyone at that hairpin turn telling you information, pointing you with a story to the wide open yellow door? Was it a guide, a teacher, a counselor? Was it a dear grandparent or friend who, for the first time, shared a story? Someone you met for 2 minutes at the coffee shop, a trail angel pointing you to the open yellow door. And finally, stuck red door, hairpin turn, trail angel, and wide open yellow door that has so much to do with who you are and where you are today. How really are the most important parts of our lives found? Is it narrowly through strategy? Of course, we have to do our share. Or are we less makers of our path and more discoverers of our journey? Is there a deeper force in us, through us, and among us? Where in your road of life is God, the universe, whatever word is your source? Is God in the open yellow door and the stuck red door? Is the force of life in the trail angel and in your being an open system to receive and perceive and give in dialogue with the source of all life? Have you been on a spiritual path, your spiritual path, all along? And I invite you back.
Yes, that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. I can share from my experience that this is very much the way how I experience life. And every time there was something when something doesn't go or flow in one direction, I always found that life rerouted some of that energy into something else that went way beyond, or it's kind of it trusting that turned out in my life to be absolutely right. And so I want to confirm this feels very, very aligned. If certain things don't move, it's not that we don't, and it's not that we don't, as you said, prepare or we put energy into some things, but if it really feels like it's not moving, then there's always a greater wisdom to it. And I can completely confirm that in my experience, at least, that's true.
And Thomas, so often we think that red door, I want that red door so much. Why did I not get that red door? Right? But wanting that red door is based on information today, backwards. It's all outdated, really. The red door is only historical in terms of why I want it. But the yellow door, as you suggest, has information that has yet to unfold ahead of us.
Exactly. Beautiful.
We don't know the glory on the other side of the yellow door.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think that's also where trauma comes into play. We speak about that, and maybe we can have another conversation to get to all the other
Please. It's so important. Your work, Thomas, your work with trauma is exactly what every bit of science says is the only way through trauma. There is one path through trauma, and that is a spiritual deepening, a spiritual growth, an awakening, to love more profoundly. It's not like, there's psychological minus spiritual paths through trauma. That is not going to take us there. Through the lens of science, we've looked at many people who have been in therapy for many years, and they still have spiritual injury. We talk a lot about moral injury. Moral injury is when the world as I know it no longer holds. But under moral injury is often spiritual injury. And the only way through spiritual injury is a direct spiritual connection to open to God, universe, loving presence, to know who we really are to one another, to feel the guidance. The only way through trauma is post-traumatic spiritual growth. So in the end, as you know so well, it is not recovery. We're not back to baseline, right? It is a growth. It is a renewal.
Beautiful. Yeah, that also completely resonates with how indeed, and I think that's also true for the collective dimension, because I think the only reason for this non-synchronicity are the scars that we don't see that create this disorganization and even the possibility of not being in with that wave. And so and that's why I also think a spiritual dimension is important. Otherwise, the way how we look at individuals, if it's only the psychology, is too small. And then when we open, then there's much more resource available, and I think that's so true. So maybe, I mean, you did it already. If there is anything else, because I'm sure many people that listen here, they have a similar experience or a similar interest at least, that to how to combine or why our spiritual practice is important for our healing,
Yes.
our growth, and also, as you said, for the post-traumatic
Yes.
growth.